Okay, next question. Hey Merja, INFJ here. I recently realized that I use anger to make necessary changes in my life, especially when it comes to relationships and setting boundaries. What is a more healthy way of motivating myself to make these changes happen? This is such a great question. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that, you know, anger is such an important emotion. And I know a lot of INF types in the healing space have difficulty with anger, expression of anger, um, uh, allowing themselves to even get angry. I remember for years and years and years, I wouldn't allow myself to get angry. I'd be just gritting my teeth and just going like, I'm not angry. And it's so destructive because if you're not able to express the anger in the outside world, you turn it inward, and then that you're effectively punishing yourself. It is completely normal to express anger. That's totally a normal way of being in the world. Of course, not all the time, but if you have never experienced what healthy boundaries look like, which is what it seems like in this particular question, you tend to just use anger to be able to justify setting boundaries. So when we set boundaries from anger, we do it because we now feel like we have a good enough reason to ask for our needs to be met. Somebody's pained you enough to then for you to justify to ask for what you need. And I know it gets to that point, and when I say it shouldn't have to get to that point, what I mean by that is that you deserve to have your needs met. You don't have to take the punishment that comes with that. It's okay to say, and I get that it's not easy, but it is okay to say, hey, I have this need around this. Are you able to meet that need? So I so hear you, because I've had this myself for years and years and years, where I'd have to get really angry before I'd, set boundaries. So you were asking what is a more healthy way of motivating myself to make these changes happen. I think the first thing really is to acknowledge that you have the right to ask for your needs to be met. Whether somebody will meet those needs or not, that's kind of a separate step. So just acknowledging that you have the right to ask, that has to be the first step. And once you've acknowledged and realized that you have the right to ask, that your happiness is as important as anybody else's happiness, then what you do is then you start to identify what the need is that you're needing to get fulfilled. So, how am I feeling right now? What do I need right now? For those of you who have studied the 4 People Within course, you're very familiar with these questions. How am I feeling right now? What do I need right now? And those questions are the basis of starting to acknowledge what your needs are. Because once you realize, what do I need right now? And you say, okay, I actually need space right now. Then you can take steps to start fulfill that. Whereas if you don't acknowledge what the need is, then it's really difficult for us that need to be met. And that is where a lot of people fall down on asking their needs to be met, because they have a sense of what their needs are, but they don't know exactly. So if you've struggled with that, then please know you're not alone. It's very normal. So first we have to acknowledge that your needs matter. Then we have to ask, how am I feeling right now? What do I need right now? To acknowledge what the needs actually are. And then we need to start learning how to express those needs. And it's a very big ask to go from recognizing what the needs are and then going to ask your partner or your child or your parent or whomever, your friend, for that need to be met. That's why I often say put a step in between recognizing the need and then asking for that need to be met, and make that step practicing asking for your need to be met out loud. So it could be like, I could be really angry. Let's just say that I have a lot of anger around, I'm the only person who's doing the dishes, for example. which isn't actually the case, but it's such a great example. I think everybody can relate to that. Let's just say that your partner is not doing any dishes ever, and you feel like you're a housekeeper, and you're still working full time. So there's this whole thing of the dishes are not being done, and it's kind of assumed that you should be doing the dishes. So instead of me going like, I'm really angry and now I'm going to go and blow up at my partner and say, you never do the dishes. Instead of saying that, I might go like, okay, so what do I actually need? So how am I feeling right now? I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling lonely because I'm feeling like I'm the only person doing those things. What do I need? I need the other person to take some part of this doing the dishes, and do it without having to be asked, and for the kitchen not to be look like it's been hit by a bomb every couple of days. So then I go, okay, so my needs are that there's a house that's tidy, there's dishes are being made, I'm not the only person making those dishes or doing the dishes. And now what I might do is I might practice saying it not in a way of you never do the dishes, but instead saying, hey, I've noticed something that I'm ending up doing a lot of the dishes most of the days. So could we come up with a system where you might do them half the time and I'll do the other half? Because now you're opening a conversation you're opening up the space for a conversation about what could be done. Because you might actually find out that they're the only one who's taking the trash out and you're never taking the trash out. So you might go like, oh, I never take the trash out, and he or she or they never does do the dishes. So maybe that's actually like a match there. So one does one and the other one does the other. But you don't know until you start these conversations. So you practice saying in your own space without saying it to the other person, hey, I've noticed that I'm noticing that I'm doing these dishes every day and it's really bothering me because I'm feeling like I'm the only person doing those dishes. Is there a way that you could do some of the dishes some of the time? So either do your own dishes or do it every second day. Does that work for you? So you don't go from massive frustration into then projecting onto the other person what your perception is, because it might, as I said, it might be that they're taking out the trash. So basically, just kind of going back to that setting of the boundaries, make sure that you break the process down into smaller pieces. You acknowledge that you have the right to have your boundaries be respected, that what you need matters. Then you look at what are those needs actually. Then you practice saying those needs out loud, and only then after that you go and you talk to your partner or whomever it is that's challenging your boundaries. So that's really kind of a healthy way of looking at it. You're engaging your feeling, you're engaging your thinking, you're not overly emotional, you're not emotionally detached, but you're making this process of, okay, let's do this together. So that's what I would say to that. Is that helpful to hear that? Pop some comments into the comment section. I'd love to hear from you.